Hi, we're glad you're here, and we're about to begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KenCast After Dark. Stimulating conversations all night long. And here's your host, Ken Cole.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to KenCast After Dark. It's wonderful to see you now in the, twilight of the day, depending on where you are. We have a lot to talk about today. It's I feel like I haven't been with you as much as I wanted to, just due to reasons. If you haven't heard, I'm making a movie, so I'm working on that. But I still want to take time to go over Cobra Kai season 6, our thoughts, our anticipations. The premiere is on Thursday, so we're looking forward to that. And so I thought tonight we could kind of sit down together, talk about what topics interest us. And in order to do that, bring on a very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been on KenCast before. He is co-host of the amazing movie podcast, The Last Row Podcast. Please welcome Mr. Drew Rohaly. Drew, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Ken. I'm ready for some stimulating conversation. So it's been a while since I've seen you. I feel honored to be invited on the KenCast here with all of these wonderful audience members, and really excited to talk about this stuff, especially since I haven't had as much time to keep up with it. So we'll be experiencing it together. So
I know, right? For the
crazy.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this is great. I'm so happy to have you on, Drew, and I love that shirt you're wearing, the
Thank you.
Cobra Kai shirt.
Gotta get the Terry Silver dojo stuff out because, our boy, he's unfortunately locked up, it seems. I don't know. Not for sure for how long.
Yeah, you know something, Drew? We're gonna have to talk about that. Because and everyone who's watching right now, thank you for watching. I will say hi to everyone here in just a second, but I will warn you, we're going to be talking about those first 8 minutes. They posted the first 8 minutes of episode 1 today. And so Drew and I will be talking about that. So go watch those right now. And we'll just kind of do introductory stuff right now. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen that yet, go watch those first 8 minutes and we'll talk about it. But I know, and we can talk about that. What's going on with our boy Terry Silver? My goodness.
Unfortunately, my thing's back there. You can't see it, but I got my sweatshirt over there. It's hard to tell.
Oh
But
yeah,
we gotta
I see
save
it.
him. We
I
gotta
see it.
save him. Right up next to my Mike Barnes picture.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Isn't that awesome? Yes.
Yeah.
Here, let me here, I'll put you on
There
solo.
you
So
go. That's and I got that, and what's cool about that is that's my signed Sean picture. So thank you, Sean, for signing that. It's pretty awesome. And then the save silver was a gift from you. So thank you, Ken. That was awesome. It was a birthday gift.
of course. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I should say this, but it was a gift from the big T himself.
There we go. Yeah.
Just
See,
through
even
me.
more special. Even more
Yeah,
special.
even more special. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we miss the big T. We miss Terry. It's been a long time. We don't know what's happened to him. Anyone who's watching this, and if you have not seen my interview with Nick Marini that I just posted, go check it out. That is Nick Marini plays the young Terry Silver. He is a great actor and really an amazing person. And everyone who's seen that has just really enjoyed listening to him. He's so thoughtful. He's so versatile in many different fields, and just amazing to listen to. So I don't know, Drew, if you had a chance to check that out, but he's incredible.
I did. So I caught the first half, and I have the second half queued up because I will tell you that exactly what you said. So I didn't get to the part where I think you talked to him about Dynatox and potentially that. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to hear what he said about that because I saw it on your chapter list. But dude, if there's anything that I learned from that, it's, man, we need him in more things. Like, he's so passionate in the way he was speaking, and, like, he just seemed so thoughtful and introspective, and you could tell, like, the answers that he was giving you, and I thought you asked him some great questions from the first half that I watched. Like, I thought you did a really good job. Uh, I just was really excited to kinda hear what he has to say about some of the other things and getting into the character and all that other stuff, but he's a really good actor, man, and if there's anybody that should get more screen time as a young Terry Silver, we gotta get Nick out there, man. He's a talented guy.
We do. He's very talented. I do hope we see him again. I don't know. I I have a feeling we might. because it seems like they've been very consistent. Since season 3, we've had a flashback with young Kreese, young Terry. And so there's got to be something, I would think, in season 6. He wouldn't say in the interview, but I don't know. I think it's a sure bet that most of the characters in the show, if they've appeared at all, will probably appear again in season 6. I have no special knowledge. That's just my guess.
I certainly hope so, because I feel like again, we said it before, and even when Hayden was asking, "Do we want that?" Yeah, we do. There's so much story to tell, man. I don't know. I
Mhm.
would love a spinoff, especially after the season is over. It would be so great to see young Terry Silver. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
I know, I agree. Definitely check out when he talks about the Dynatalk series, because Drew, you and I could be wrong, but I think we broke it here
Yeah,
on this on
we did
KenCast,
on the
talk,
KenCast.
talking to Hayden, and Hayden talked about this idea of a Dynatalk show. Just an idea. We don't know if it's happening or not, but I in turn then asked Nick about this idea. So go listen to that. I think it's a very interesting response. Drew, just before we say hi to everyone, hello, we were going to say hi to everyone. I want to let everyone know that tomorrow, Drew and I usually do these epic marathons, but that's been disrupted because they've done a live event. They're going to do a live fan event in Los Angeles tomorrow night. And my plan is to do the same thing I did the last time they did this, and that's to go down to the live event and to stream that for you guys. So everyone who can't be there in LA, come with me tomorrow. We're going to just stream the whole thing live. I'm going to be going down there with Amber, my wife, and a lot of faces that you might know from fandom, and we're going to experience it, and you can kind of chill with us and just see what it's like. And who knows, there might be some special guests there that we can see. And so join us tomorrow night. Some of you are on here as moderators. Let us know in the comments or on the side here if you're interested in being a moderator. Not everyone can be a moderator, but if you're a channel member, if you support this channel, obviously, you've been with us for a long time. We know the normal people here, and if any of you guys who are watching right now want to be a moderator for the channel, for the chat, because it could get quite intense tomorrow, just let me know and we can put you down and see if we can give you that authority. And we thank you, all the moderators.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna try
Drew,
to join. I wish I could be there with you. It's crazy over on the East Coast here. I wish I could be there. I'm so bummed, but I will be trying to join the stream if you're streaming and just say hi to everybody. Would be cool. But I
mhm.
wish I could join you guys. Maybe for the next one if they do one.
Yes, I have a feeling they might do something like this for each part that comes out. At least
Yeah.
I hope so. Darkest Hour says, "What time tomorrow?" Well, I think they're going to start. The one thing we won't be live streaming is the actual episodes. They're going to show the first 2 episodes of season 6, and that is slated to start at about 8:30 p.m. Pacific.
Pacific.
So I'm going to start live streaming, I think, just before they start letting us in. So I don't know what time that would be. I think doors open at 6:30 or something Pacific. So maybe a little before that. Just keep an eye out, and once you subscribe to the channel, get the notifications, and you'll get notified when we go live.
And
So
it's at a theater, right, Ken? I'm not familiar with LA, but last time it was in a park somewhere. It was like outdoors.
it is going to be outdoors. I think it's going to
Okay.
be at the Autry Museum, which is
Nice.
next to the LA Zoo. And it is something where you do need tickets. So I think the tickets went pretty quickly. So luckily we got some. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. But I will post, so follow me on social media, and I will post when we're about to go live tomorrow. So thank you guys. So Drew, what do you think? Should we say hello to people?
Yeah. Let's say
So
hi.
so many great comments, and I'm sorry if we don't miss you. If we miss you, just comment again. Thank you, Jaws. Thanks for your support.
Hey,
Always great to
guys.
have you. Gabe, thanks for joining us. Was the first 8 minutes a leak, or is it from an official source? It's official, right?
It's official. Yeah, it's on
Yep.
Netflix to do my I don't even know how to say that, but
Mhm.
it's the website. It was on their website.
Yes. Here we go. Hey, John Spangler. John says, I heard Dutch's daughter took the post off of him not returning to Cobra Kai, and she took it off. So hopefully Dutch will return. What do you guys think? We might have talked about this a little bit, Drew.
It's been a while, but I think we did speculate on that. We weren't sure if it was to I think if I'm remembering correctly, we weren't sure if it was to not disappoint people or to also be maybe like it was something that they were expecting. I'm curious about it.
I am too. Drew, Dutch, would that be insane to see Dutch?
Especially in the final season, if you're gonna do it, now's the time if they can
Mhm,
make it, and I'm pretty sure the creators teased people that we haven't seen before in the show and stuff like
mhm,
that, returning characters. A lot of people have said maybe it's Julie Pierce, some people have said maybe it's Snake or Dennis would be great, but
mhm.
I would love for Dutch to come back, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Marianella says, "Hi, Marianella. I like the theories Nick has regarding Terry's father and their relationship." Yeah, that's I I don't know if you got to that part, Drew,
Not yet.
but
You can tell me, but
yeah,
I'm
he
gonna watch
basically
it.
he talked about his father and the relationship with his father as being kind of one of the keys to his character, and that
Awesome.
maybe there's something there, like some big stuff that we don't know yet, which is kind of cool.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sounds I mean, because there was that scene of them in the barber shop or whatever, or the tattoo shop, sorry, I wanna say barber shop, but they talked a little bit about it, same thing, right? Get a tattoo, get a haircut.
Yes. Let's see. Chris Maffei, if the Dynatox
Hey,
series
Chris.
ever happens, hi Chris. Ken and Drew need to do a
Kinda talk.
dedicated review show called Dynatox.
I'm in.
I'm in,
I'm
and
in.
we got to have you back on, Chris,
You
because
gotta come
we'll
on,
have you.
Chris.
Yeah, it's yeah. Chris, everyone is amazing, amazing fan, just an amazing personality who has Drew, I think we can say,
Yeah.
put together an amazing
Oh,
AI generated set list of heavy metal, Terry Silver music. It is in the description. So everyone go click on that Christmas phase
it's
Terry
so
Silver
good.
AI. Yeah, go click on it right now, everyone.
Chris is I have to say this, Chris is one of the most talented people I've ever met, and you guys need to check that out. If you're a fan of Terry Silver, I know Chris is one of the OG Terry Silver fans out there. It is awesome. As a Terry Silver fan, it's so good. You guys gotta check it out, and I'm a metal fan too, so you add that together and speaking my language, Chris. So everyone should go check that out as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Terry Johnson, yeah, definitely had issues with his father. Good to see you, Terry. Holly, heck yeah, I won't say that. Now this is interesting. I'll just throw this up here as someone. This is fascinating. Like,
What?
yeah, I don't know what's going on, but but I'm actually gonna. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta ban
Oh,
that person.
gotta
Sorry.
get the ban out.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. We don't like to do that, but
No,
occasionally we do. So, um, w
it wasn't me, I swear.
yeah, no. Uh, John, the show typically drops on Fridays. Why the Thursday drop this time? I don't know.
It's
Uh,
not a
uh,
holiday or anything either. It's kind of odd, I guess. Maybe so that it's ready a day earlier for the weekend? I don't know, it's a good question.
it is a great question. Maybe they've adjusted their algorithm. People are behaving differently now. Um, let's see. DJ Club Rules, how you doing? How's it going, Ken? How do you feel about Thomasine Griffith not being in the main character list in the 8 minutes of Cobra Kai season 6? Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I expected it. I think I would be shocked if he wasn't in any of the season at all. I would be actually very disappointed, as a lot of people would, but I also feel like he probably won't come back for at least a few episodes. Like, I doubt he's even in the first 2 because of they're gonna kinda tease that out. You know, obviously, he's technically in it if you consider his picture and his
Right.
mugshot in the newspaper that we saw, but I think it's probably smart to keep him out of it a little bit and tease the audience so that way you keep watching. So we'll have to see, right? It's kind of like when the phone call happened at that one part of the season. It's like you kind of hope he would show up. You hoped he would show up, and then you hear him on the phone, and, like the phone call and everything, and it was like, oh my gosh. So hopefully it's kind of like that. But I mean, I think he should be in every single episode ever. So that's just me. But
Yes, I totally agree. And I think you're right, Drew. It's like he's not in it, but if you watch those first 8 minutes, he's in the newspaper. Uh, Amanda and Daniel have a conversation about him.
Mhm.
Like, and I don't know. To me, that's just foreshadowing. Like they having a conversation about Terry Silver and Kreese right up front, to me, kind of signals
Yeah.
that we could see him again. Like,
And
don't you think? I mean,
Yeah, I do, and I feel like if you read the article that goes along with the video that they posted, they're really setting up how they're trying to talk about how everything is all great, everybody's good. It's the what is it? The calm after the storm. We won. Everything's over. Like what that is, right? That's setting them up to just be broken in half, basically.
right.
So in some ways, it might make the fall even harder when Terry comes back. Hopefully he does. But I feel like it's definitely on purpose that they're trying to do that. So I don't know. And plus, I mean, I've said this a billion times, you have too. Don't think he did anything wrong. They even made a comment like, "Oh, until the charges are dropped." I think Amanda says something like that. It's, who knows, in my opinion. I think he's innocent. I mean, we all know it, right? We all know it, we know it, we feel it. It's true. Oh, Ken, I think you're muted.
Oh, here we go.
There
Sorry.
you go. I
Okay?
couldn't hear you.
I think you're right, Drew. There's got to be a calm before the storm, and I wouldn't expect for him to show up, you know, right up front. So
Yeah.
we'll, but don't lose faith, guys. Don't lose
You
faith.
gotta build up to it, right? Make it even more impactful when he finally shows up, especially with the conflict between him and Kreese or potential conflict between them. You can't just have him looking pathetic in jail. I mean, a
Right.
picture's one thing, but you can't do that right away in the first 8 minutes.
No, no. And I don't know about you, Drew. I know we've kind of talked about this at length, but I think Terry's amazing when he's lurking in the shadows and you don't know where he is.
Yeah, you need him. It makes him more dangerous because he's like a cornered or caged animal where you don't know what he's gonna do, and he is very powerful and cunning and smart. I feel like with him being cornered and him being up against sort of these adversity or odds, he's just gonna come back stronger, in my opinion.
Yes. Very well said.
One
Cobra
can
Kai
hope.
Mind Cobra Kai Minefield, how you doing? It says, "Hey Ken and Drew, I just subscribed to your channel." Well, thank you so much. Thanks for subscribing. And if you guys are watching right now and enjoying this and haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Also, subscribe to the Last Row Podcast YouTube channel.
Thank
That's
you.
Drew's YouTube channel. That's in the description. If you enjoy the Karate Kid and nostalgia in 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s, that is a must-listen podcast with Drew and Badway. Badway's been on here a bunch as well. I listen to this podcast all the time.
Thank you.
Drew and Badway are my movie buddies. I enjoy listening to their thoughts on everything. So
Thank you.
listen, go subscribe to the Last Row Podcast. Let's see what else. My gosh, so many. Santino says maybe Dutch and Terry are cellmates. I love that thought. Wouldn't that be fun?
That could be a cool way to do it too, it would be kinda neat. I mean, I know people were saying that when Kreese was in prison, they were sort of hoping that, but it could be. We'll have to see where they sent him to prison.
Yes. The spooky fangirl says bring back Dennis.
Yes,
That would be
we need
amazing.
I'm still holding out hope, guys. I really would love to see Dennis in this season. I really hope it happens. I don't know. I'll be so happy if it happens. We need Dennis. Dennis lives.
Dennis lives. I agree. So, all right, Drew, I need to ask you your thoughts because we've talked about this at length. And there's a big controversy with Dennis and Snake, of course, in that John Alvinson, who plays Snake, is basically missing. Like
Mhm.
no one knows where he is. I don't know if they're able to find him. but do you think that Dennis would only appear if Snake is with him, or do you think they'd bring back Dennis on his own?
It's a good question because they are kind of like a duo, but if you can get one of them, I think you gotta do it, especially for the last season. Now, I don't I hope they don't do like a remember this guy, remember that guy. Like I don't and they don't do that. I think when they bring somebody back, there's typically a reason and they do a good job of why they would bring the person back. And I've said this before, but there's a lot of backstory they could tell with Dennis, and they just haven't really done a lot of that before. So I feel like that and like you said, it would be awesome if Alvinson was there. Maybe they won't do it, but I would still take Dennis even without Snake, personally. I feel like there's a lot of story to tell there.
Absolutely. And as we know, Drew, like William Christopher Ford has been on KenCast
Mhm.
before. Just such an amazing guy, in so many ways. Like he's like a martial arts master. He's just like he's like the perfect he's almost like a real
Yeah.
life Mr. Miyagi in a way.
He
He's
honestly is. Yeah, he really is. Real life Mr. Miyagi, like, he has so much wisdom, and I said this to you before, and I've told him, he's a kind soul, he's a good human, and
yes.
those are the kind of people we need more of those in the world, and, William Christopher Ford is awesome. He's in my, like, top 10 humans list.
Yes, he really is, and maybe sometime we can have him back, and I hope it's in the context of maybe
Yeah.
Dennis does appear. So if Dennis is coming back, sure, do you think he's going to be back in the first? Are we going to see him on Thursday when these episodes release?
I feel like they're gonna save a lot of and I don't know because it could be interesting because the stuff that I've seen, and I haven't watched all the clips. I did watch the first 8 minutes, and I watched the trailer. They're really setting it up as, like, the dojos are working together now to train for the Sekai Taikai. And then, you have the Kim Daun items where they're training, rival dojo for the Sekai Taikai. But you haven't gotten much, and I hope that's by design. I hope there's a lot more surprises. That I feel like,
Mhm.
it's like when you watch a movie, like we talk a lot about movies. When you watch a trailer that gives everything away, it's cool, but it's also disappointing because you don't get to experience it. I like the ones that really don't give you much. They give you a little bit of a
Yeah.
tease and maybe the first maybe a couple story beats. So I suspect, and honestly, I this is my speculation, but I'd be surprised if we even see Terry in the first 5 episodes. My expectations will get him in the second set or the third set. I feel like they'll probably save it. Just a feeling that I have. I could be completely wrong on that, but I feel like there's gonna be I don't know if you guys watched Andor, but there was like 3 episode arcs, and I feel like there's gonna be probably like a 5 episode arc, a 5 episode arc, and a 5 episode arc. That's the way because it's 15 total. So that's my guess, but again, that's complete speculation. I don't have any insider knowledge. I'm with you
Mhm.
guys. That's completely just me speculating. So I don't think he'll be in the first 5. I think we'll get him in the second 5 or the sort of that back half, I guess, or back third.
Mhm. Well, that would make sense, Drew, because he really heavily featured in season 5. And, he seems to have been defeated. We know that he's not, just because we know Terry so well. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's sort of like they're resetting. It's like everything's fine, everything's great. And I think there was Spooky Fangirl says, I'm 100% sure that Terry will come back when we least
Yes.
expect it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. You could see that, you've got Kim Daun and Kreese and probably these other complications happening. And, it would be something where you're all invested in this drama of what's happening. And Daniel and Johnny and Chosen have all these problems. And then, boom, when you least expect it, Terry shows up. I mean, to really
Yeah.
throw a wrench into everything.
Yeah. I mean, it could even and this is again, complete speculation, but the way that they set up the way that they're getting very comfortable with everything's kumbaya, everything's so great right now. Terry could be like the final boss, honestly, of everything. Like maybe the first 5 episodes are them getting ready for the Sekai Taikai. Maybe the next 5 are the Sekai Taikai, and maybe they win or whatever happens. Maybe Terry's like the final boss of the whole series at the very end in the last 5. Maybe
Mhm.
that's what it would be. So I don't know. I mean, he might not even be. part of that. I mean, I hope he is. Like I said, I hope he's in all 15, but it's one of those things where if you save him for the very end, we talk about the final boss. I mean, he is like Shao Kahn if you're in Mortal Kombat world here. He's like the final boss of everything. And I feel like, there's a lot of villains that you could have them go against, and who even knows what's going to happen with the Sekai Taikai and whoever they would introduce there. Could be other rival dojos, even worse guys that are even more evil. Like, who knows? And the Kim Da-eun stuff is really interesting. But I kind of hope he's the final boss. I think that would be pretty fun.
That would be fun. Yeah, it would be a great thing for Terry to have, 100%. JQ275 says, I think after he gets off, Silvers goes to Korea and forces his way into the dojo by using his 50% ownership, and Master Kim forces Silver and Kreese to work together again.
It could.
Wow.
Yeah, could be. For sure.
Interesting idea. Melissa, good to see you, Melissa, says, making 15 episodes instead of 10, I feel was a great surprise, but others don't exactly have the same enthusiasm, and I feel that they should have just left it at 10. How do you guys feel? Drew, how do you feel?
I'll take any episode I can, and I will take as many as I can. If they made it 20, I'd be I maybe 20 would be a little much, but I think the one thing we always talked about was the episodes are relatively short, so they are anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes on average, right? Some of them are a little bit longer, give or take, or maybe a little shorter. And I like the fact that they're not like playing to a specific time, but I kind of like 5 because I feel like we've always said, especially now, you're trying to close out so many stories and you have all these great characters that they've created and you've got all these stories and things that they've got to close. I think having 15 gives them that breathing room to really make sure that people get, especially as it's coming to an end, a proper ending and a way to really give you some resolution. You're not going to resolve everything in a show, right? It doesn't always happen, but it should be enough for them to put the bow on most things and maybe set it up for some spin-offs or something like that if that's what they're doing. But I like that it's 15. I'm happy that it's 15. It gives it a little bit more. I think 20 would be too much just because it's like the old TV shows where they were like 24 episodes. It's almost like villain of the week kind of thing. So I like that it's 15. I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, it's a good balance, and it's a great way to say goodbye. I feel like the biggest problem with this show and a lot of shows nowadays is that you get all those episodes at once, and it's great and it's so much fun when you're watching them, but then it's like over. And the idea that this great show would end with just that one binge and you're done. It's kind of nice that it's going to be multiple binges. I like it.
I really like, as much as I like to have everything in one go, we've talked about this before here, I like analyzing it and I like being able to break down and kind of speculate on what's coming next. And I like to think about it, especially like you said, this show has been on, what was it? Was it 2018 when it came on YouTube Red or something? I'm trying to think of how many years it was. It was like right around there, right?
Yeah. Gosh, was it 2017 or 2018?
Something like that.
I think
right?
it was. Yeah. I think yeah, to 2018 maybe.
2017, it's been a long time, right? And I think you've got something that I loved watching it when it was coming out. It's like, oh, you binge right through it. It's really cool. You get to watch it again. It was like a really fun watch, especially in the very beginning. But when you go back and you look at some of these shows, even like Stranger Things, I know some people have issues with the where it's going and what it is, but I kind of like that it's not just over in one bang. And this being 15 episodes in 3 arcs, I think that's pretty cool. And it gives us, it's almost like 3 little ending seasons in a way, and we get a chance to really enjoy it. And look, there's so many people that have put so much heart and soul into this thing. I feel like it also lets the actors and the artists and the writers and the people, everybody that's working on this thing get their sort of like due. And I like that too, because I feel like so many shows come and go. And this one is such a special show. And it's been such a special show for so many people. I like that it's going to have a little bit more lasting power here. And then we can go back and watch it all over again. So
that's right. And I know everyone's been teasing spinoffs too. So that's kind of exciting. John, NASA Canes fan, thank you for the super chat. And thank you for being a channel member too, John. John says, I don't think Dutch and Terry would be in the same prison. Terry and Kreese were in county/state prison. Dutch is in a federal prison.
Yeah, it's a good
Could
call.
be. It's a good point. Yeah, and we don't know what he did, right? We don't know what Dutch did. I don't think, just that he's in prison. So, Robana says, hopefully it's Julie Pierce they're talking about. Yeah, I saw an interview with John, Josh, and Hayden, and I don't know. The way I looked at the interview, it's sort of like they asked them, "Hey, so Hillary Swank's coming back, right?" And they're like, they kind of just froze or smiled, and Hayden said, I can't say. It's like you could probably tell from my tells, but I can't say anything. And so it's almost confirming. I don't know. I think she's got to come back.
I think it's funny because in the one time that we were, thank you for allowing me to be part of that stream. It was really cool getting the chance to talk to him. He seems to have a pretty good poker face. I don't know. He's hard to read because he seems very like he's got a lot of misdirection there. So your guess is as good as mine for that one.
Right. I have my biased hope. That's all I have.
Yeah.
No inside information.
Yeah, it would be great to see her.
Leaks. It would be great to see her. And if you haven't watched it or listened to it yet, watch the joint KenCast Last Row podcast analysis of The Next Karate Kid. It is the deepest analysis of that movie on the internet. I think it's 2 hours long, and we just go through it. It's fun. It's funny. And we just analyze the heck out of it.
I had a lot of fun with that. And I say that as somebody who for many years on this channel have said they're like, oh, I didn't watch it, didn't really have any interest in it. I honestly really liked the movie. I thought it was really good. You got a different, I mean, is it a good film? I don't know, right? But I liked it. I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I thought there was some good acting performances, and honestly, I loved Mr. Miyagi in that movie. I thought he was awesome. You got a side of him that I feel like you didn't get to see with him and Daniel, which I really liked.
Right. And we've talked about like movies and stuff like that. I will say, I feel like being a fan of something, it's evolved. Like now you get into this idea of toxic fandoms or people being upset or whatever. But I think the key to being a fan of something is to be able to watch it and identify what the pleasures are, because it doesn't have to be like an amazing movie, but there can still be a lot of pleasures in there. And I think as fans, we identify that. And I think Next Karate Kid has its pleasures. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of there's things that could be better about the film, but it's also like it's a product of its time too. And it was X amount of years after the part 3 sequel. So it tried to do something different. And I thought it did okay for what it is. Looking back on it now, I could understand being disappointed if you saw it like when you watched it right away. But I think some things age better, when you give it time and you can appreciate it for what it is based on some of the new things that are part of that, fandom or canon now. And I think it gives a little bit different perspective on some of the characters, which I really liked. So, and then you got the Alpha Elite, and who's going to complain about that? They're pretty awesome. So,
oh man, is it percentage chance, Drew, that we're going to see the Alpha Elite in some form?
We need Ned. I don't know, unless I guess the car got blown up. So I don't know. I would love to see some form of it, even if they did like an homage to it or something. Would be kind of funny. Like if you had guys dressed up in like in the Sekai Taikai, if you had like an Alpha Elite dojo where they're wearing like tight jeans and like the black shirts. I think that would be awesome if we got
that'd be great.
Like the Alpha Elite at the Sekai Taikai. So Dorcas Tower said it too. There you go.
Yes,
That's
100%. And we've also got Cobra Kai Wisdom. Yo-Yo Peeps,
Hey.
29 hours. How you doing, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Oh my gosh. Johnny Lawrence fan says, Ken and Drew, what throwbacks would you like to see in season 6 from the original movies, which we haven't had yet? Well, that was a great one, Drew, that you just said. Great throwback to the Alpha Elite. What else? What would be some great throwbacks?
We got a steam room scene in the last season. So we got that. Maybe you get Kreese getting a massage or something in Tahiti. Somebody getting a massage in Tahiti would be cool. It'd be awesome to see Terry with the bomber jacket again. Would be pretty great.
That'd be great.
I mean, all mine are totally Terry Silver throwbacks that I want.
So, okay, let's start there because we're obviously Terry
Yeah.
Silver fans. What Terry Silver throwbacks could we have? Obviously, the bomber jacket. I think the idea of Terry breaking into some place is kind of
Yeah.
fun.
In a chimney would be great to see him in a chimney.
Yes. Oh, that'd be perfect. The chimney. We haven't had him in a bath, like a bubble bath or anything.
No, a bubble
Okay.
bath would be that would be good, right? Because I think you gotta have Terry in the bubble bath, I think, with the phone, like the antique looking Victorian era phone or whatever they call it.
Yes. Right. Right.
That would be
Yes.
cool.
That's not a princess phone. That's I don't know
I
what.
forgot what they're you know what I'm talking about, the
Yes.
rotary one or whatever they call it.
Yes.
It would be cool
We
to
haven't
get
seen.
Barnes, like, on a magazine again, would be like the Karate's Bad Boy would be great too somehow.
Mhm. We haven't had Terry smoke a cigar in Cobra Kai, right?
Not
Just
that
Kreese?
I can remember. Uh, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Um, we haven't had Thomasine Griffith in an ascot, though we had Nick Marini in an ascot.
Yes, I think you need Tig in the ascot. I think that would
Mhm.
be really cool. It'd be cool to see, like, his hired help. Like, he didn't really have any at the last place. It was like a catered party for the when he was Tofu Terry, as Chris said. So I don't
Sophie Terry,
know.
yeah.
It would Tofu Terry had I'm sure he had some help at the house, but I don't know, unless he loses his money again, which would be a dangerous and cornered Terry, but I would like to see that too. Maybe him driving the convertible again would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of every Terry Silver related thing possible.
Well, that would be an interesting uh, callback too, or throwback, I should say, would be if Terry does come back and he seems poor,
Yeah,
which could be a fake out. I don't
he
know if
needs
that'd
the
be too
pickup
obvious.
truck, the Toyota
Yeah,
truck,
he
beat
needs
up
the
the beater. What if he pretended that he lost all of his money and, like you said, he pretends to be poor, he lost the dojo, but he's actually still got all of his, evil Bruce Wayne money, like the
Mhm.
anti-Batman as we
Oh, yeah.
say, but I definitely want that. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, in the deleted scenes for season 4, he says that he made all his money back and then some. So he's even
Yeah,
richer than he was in
yeah.
Karate Kid 3. I doubt he would let that. No, he's got all that money still. And Drew, I know we haven't gotten into those first 8 minutes yet, but I have a theory already.
Oh,
I
okay.
do. Okay, I've got a theory. In those first 8 minutes, we saw Johnny, Miguel, and Robbie
Mhm.
go to the Eagle or try to go to the Eagle Fang dojo, the warehouse, and it was demolished. Who demolished it?
Oh, man. I wasn't thinking about that, but I hope he did it. I hope he did. Oh, man. I hope.
It's just why would it be randomly demolished
He burned
right
down the
then?
furniture store, and then he is also the demolishing of that place. Maybe he's already out of jail, and he just got it knocked down. He bought the construction company.
Right.
Man.
That is something, I must say, if we're talking about those first 8 minutes, Daniel and Amanda have that conversation where Amanda's like, "Unless Terry got those charges dropped," and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it," and stuff. You can look and see, like, what's going on with, like, cases. If there's, like,
Yeah.
a criminal case, and I'm kinda surprised they're not doing their due diligence and kinda following that to see what's going on with Terry Silver, you know?
That's my issue with Daniel in general, and I say this as a fan of the series, but I
Right.
look, I'm gonna take Terry's side all the time because I always do. But I feel like Daniel gets very cocky and he gets very, like, on his high horse about it, and I feel like, like, "Oh, man, it's good. He we beat him. It's over." And he's riding high, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe he'll show up in the first fight. Maybe he's right there in at minute 9, he shows up behind the scenes or something, but I think you're right about that because what if he knocked it over and it's like, dude, you could get out on bail very easily and he could appeal whatever's going on. Like his trial might not be for 12 months. Who knows? I
Mhm.
mean, we know how the justice system works in the United States here. Like he could be a free man, no problem. So maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe he does show up early. Would be great.
I I think right. And so if anyone here, I know this has been kind of like a spooky fangirl says after spending a couple nights in jail, Terry might need a bath,
Yeah, I
a bubble
agree.
bath. Yes, I agree. Santino says I want to hear Terry teach the Quicksilver to people in prison. That would be fun. But Drew, I tend to agree with you. I think that Terry probably didn't even go to prison. Like
Yeah.
he's out. And
He's
yeah.
too smart, honestly. Like, I know people might say he got cocky with how he handled himself and what he did, but how's he supposed to predict them breaking into his dojo and basically it's like somebody broke into your house and kick your butt and then you go to jail for it. Come on now. Let's get out of here with that.
Right. I know. It does seem like in those first, and I don't know, should we just talk? Do you want to talk about those
Yeah,
first 8 minutes?
sure.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's
Whatever
do
you
it.
think.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. And everyone, Drew did an amazing job of like putting together like a list of bullet points. And so, Drew, would you like to take us through what kind of a
Sure.
summary of what happens in the first 8 minutes?
Yeah.
And if you guys don't want to know this, then come back a little later.
Yeah, this is my stream of consciousness, by the way. So I watched this like 15 minutes before we started. So bear with me if I got this wrong. I know people have maybe had a chance to do multiple viewings of this. I watched it once. So just keep this in mind. But first off, I have to say the music of this show is always on point. I'm pretty sure the song was Roll with the Changes by REO Speedwagon, which is an awesome song, right? Another good
Mhm.
throwback. So I felt like that was really good. And what they did was they showed a lot of the different characters, like we said, the calm after the storm, everything's riding high. If you even noticed, the colors were very bright and the lighting was very bright. It was like literally breakfast. So it was the morning after all of this stuff. So obviously there's a lot of that. But the first thing that I noticed was they had Johnny with a little baby onesie with him and Carmen. So there's still that plot thread that was going on. I think if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, I think it was an Eagle Fang
Yes.
onesie, which I thought was cool. So I'm curious to see where that's gonna go. I don't know. Do you like that plot thread, or sometimes that's like a trope that's overused? But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Of the baby.
Yeah,
I'm probably not the biggest fan of it.
yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how they handle it because it seems like they're handling it pretty well. Like I think when it hit last season, it was almost like, well, this is happening just at the moment where, Johnny's actually reconciling with
hmm
his existing kid and he's getting, a new stepson probably.
hmm
Um, and so that's a lot going on. And then he's pregnant with another kid, with Carmen. It's a lot to deal with. And I think sometimes like that's the thing with this show is like there's so many great characters and so many plot threads. It's like it can feel very crowded and everything. And so I don't know. It really depends, I think, how they handle it. But my fear, I think, is if there's like so much energy put into the baby storyline
yeah.
that Johnny kind of loses his edge. He's just concerned about the baby. But that doesn't seem to be the case at all in the first 8 minutes at all. He's still very
Yeah.
focused on karate. So
I agree with you that on that because I wasn't sure, and it could be one of those things where it's just it puts more on the line for him, and maybe it's like an extra
mm,
motivation or something like that. I'm sort of indifferent to it right now. Like I know some people really like it, some people aren't really into it. I'll see where they go with it, and it could be interesting to see where it lands. It might be people coming together for the end of the season, and maybe it's that whole thing. So we'll see. But I thought that was interesting. They started out with that, and then the first and they'll you see this throughout the first 8 minutes, but everybody's happy with each other and everybody's sort
yeah,
of getting along. Like the feud of Robbie and Miguel, like that had been going on for so long. They're living together. I think they get lunch together. I think Chris, I saw what you wrote in here. Robbie getting his lunch for school was the most unexpectedly heartwarming thing I've seen. It was. It put a little smile on my face.
yeah,
It was pretty cool. So you saw that, and, like, obviously, that's gonna be a thing from at least 8 minutes, them being friendly with each with each other.
right,
So we'll have to see. But, and then you had the cut to the LaRusso household, and then you had Daniel and Amanda and the conversation that we talked about. They're having breakfast, everybody's really happy. He's got the biggest smile on his face ever. You saw Anthony and Sam looking very happy too, and everything's good in the LaRusso household. Then you see Chosen walk out in his robe, and he looked like he was, hey, he's still here. which I thought was pretty funny. And just like the way that he kind of walks around like he owns the place. I like that. I like
Yeah.
Chosen. I like the goofy side of Chosen. I think it's good comedic relief. But I thought that that was a contrast as well, where it's different household, but the same vibe of just positive, good vibes, which, let's be honest, like, you really haven't gotten that in this show at all. And I think they even mention, I don't remember if it was John, Josh, or Hayden who said it in that article, but they said it's really the first time where you have people getting along. It's been that way. But did anything stand out to you with like the Daniel and Amanda stuff that we haven't talked about? Because I was like trying to follow it, but I didn't know if anything stood out to you.
Um, I think it's just she seemed genuinely surprised when Daniel said, "This is it."
Yeah,
Like,
swan
"This is
song.
my swan song," and she seemed struck by that. I couldn't tell if she believed him or not.
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. Like, it seems like if they won, he'd probably wanna keep going. Like, I don't know why, like, if they did well at the Sekai Taikai, would he stop? Because he seems to be focused on spreading Miyagi's wisdom with the world, so I don't know why he would retire as a sensei. You know, it's funny that he so quickly adopted Terry Silver's strategy, like, to
yeah.
basically use and that's almost sort of, I don't think Mr. Miyagi would have approved that, and we still haven't had that big discussion, but I think the way Daniel lives and the choices he makes are not what Mr. Miyagi would have done. I think Mr. Miyagi would have said, "There's no point in doing this.
I
Don't do
agree,
this." Yeah,
because Miyagi's whole philosophy for stuff was like just avoid the conflict, like just stop. And I think that's where Daniel and him are really different, in that Daniel's very hard-headed, and you can even see it in his relationship with Amanda, where it's kind of like, why do you have to keep doing this? Like, why do you need to keep pushing on for this? And I don't believe him that it's his swan song at all. I don't, because he said it every time. He's like, "Oh, this is it. This is it." And just so happens to be that they are in a situation where Terry is, quote, "in jail." So I think, I mean, I think it comes from a good place though. Like, I don't think Daniel is a bad person or anything. I just think that he is very hard-headed in the way that he approaches stuff. So I don't know. And I think, like I said, I think it comes from the right place, but and I agree with what Chris said here too. Daniel wants to inspire people, not sell them on a global dojo. And I agree, because you see the contrast with Johnny, who wants to open other places. And I think then it cuts back to Johnny in the car with the kids too. I'm kind of going out of order a little bit, but we skipped over the one piece, but we talked a little bit about earlier, but the newspaper clipping of Kreese and Silver, they looked really wrecked, both of them. Like, I
right.
think some folks said it in the chat, but they had like black eyes, black and white, looked really beat up, which it looked pretty sad to see him that way. And then the other thing was Daniel seeing the Cobra Kai sign going in the dumpster, and the smile and the look of pride that he had, which, I get it. He's been waiting how many years to see this at this point. So for him, he thought they were gone. They came back, and now he kind of finally sees it go in the dumpster. So I understand the sense of relief that he probably feels. And like, can I blame him for thinking it's over? They just had a pretty traumatic situation. He beat Terry Silver up in his own dojo after he came back and, started sort of like a phenomenon in the valley there. So I don't know. That's another one too. But I think he had a good smile there when he was really happy about seeing that sign busted up, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So
A lot of satisfaction, and I I truly think that Terry was right when he's told Daniel that there's always been a lot of little Cobra Kai in you. And
yeah.
he's basically kind of being this imperial like karate person. I mean, he's satisfied and we're sympathetic with him, but really it's this idea that he's the karate police,
Yeah,
you know?
it is. It's very much like gatekeeping of like, "Oh, it has to
Yeah.
be my way." And I think you've seen him get a little bit more open to, like, when he was trying to tell Sam exactly how to fight and all that, and she was trying to learn between him and Johnny. Like, that was an interesting dynamic, and I think it showed some good character growth with him, where he finally realized, like, it's not just my way. Because I think the one thing that frustrated me a little bit with his character, and it's not his fault or anything, it was written that way on purpose, was how really like this is what Mr. Miyagi wants. This is what and it's his vision of what Mr. Miyagi wants, and Mr. Miyagi's not
Mhm.
around to speak for himself. And I think you've got somebody that's sort of interpreting a message and sort of making it like the karate police. And I think I like how he's grown, and I like that he's been a bit more open to other things. And I think part of that is the partnership that he's had with Johnny over the years now, and being able to be forced out of his own comfort zone, which I think has really helped him grow as a character. So I feel like people will say that I'm anti-Daniel. I'm not. I really not. I'm harder on him because I expect more out of him, I think, and,
Yeah.
because he's a great character, and I think it's good. It's the way that it's written has been pretty good to watch him grow over the years, and Ralph's a great actor too, so he's done a great job with the character.
Right. And it's kind of nice that they're not like Daniel's like the same character he was back in the movies,
Mhm.
but you do see attention being paid to the fact that he's not always perfect, and
Yeah.
it's kind of nice.
You don't want your characters to be perfect, right? Because nobody is, and I think it's the thing that I really like about this show in general is that nobody's really right. Everybody has their own point of view and their perspective on it, and you can kind of agree or align with whatever side you feel like fits what you think. But I think everybody's kind of flawed like we all are. Everybody's got flaws in this world.
Mhm.
Nobody is like a perfect human being, and I think that's what I kinda like about it. It feels more real that way, because I think
Yeah.
what Daniel's reactions to a lot of things are how somebody might actually react to, their worst enemy coming back and starting a rival dojo and expanding across. Like, can I blame him for getting heated about it? No. I think he's prideful, and I don't see that as a bad thing all the time. I think it's what makes him he's got a lot of passion for what he's doing, so it's interesting, and for him saying that it's his swan song, I still don't believe him, but we'll see,
Right.
and, maybe if the stuff was over, maybe he would retire and go back to selling cars, so we'll see,
Right.
but, I think he said, quote, "Life is good," and, "No more karate wars." We, quote, "Took down Terry Silver," and then you had Amanda say his reputation was ruined. And then I forgot exactly what was said, but there was something about, Kreese, if he's out, they'll be sending, Army or US Marshals after him or something. I
Yeah.
think that's what they said. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting. But I wanna someone put something in the chat and I missed it because it was prior to I think it was it about the guys driving in the car? I'm just trying to find it in here. But it was interesting because I feel like there's a contrast between the Johnny side of things and the side of things with the LaRussos. LaRusso's in it's just kind of end this feud and be done, and Johnny wants to expand. So I think that's gonna cause a lot of conflict in the show, and I think especially when Johnny shows up later and brings his stuff after it's like, "Why did I need to ask you for that?" or whatever. It's gonna be an
Yeah.
interesting conflict when you have those 2 trying to work together. They're very, very different people, and I think that would be interesting. So
Yeah.
what am I missing? I'm probably missing stuff.
Let's see what else. There's the I guess there's an unveiling of the new dojo name that
Yeah,
gets teased, right? But we don't see it. That's where it cuts off. That's where the 8 minutes cuts off.
yeah.
They
One of my favorite references was I wrote this down, was when I think it was Hawk talking about what they were talking about the name, and they were talking about the Sekai Taikai, and they referenced one of my all-time favorite movies, Bloodsport. So he's talking about it's like the Olympus and the Gladiator Games mixed with the Kumite from Bloodsport, and then you get Johnny who's like, "Yeah." Like, I love Bloodsport, I'm a huge Van Damme fan, so that was near and dear to my heart. So I thought that was great. I like that
That's
reference
great.
there. But I'm curious what the dojo name's gonna be. I don't know. Like, I'm
I
curious what it'll be.
Yeah, I have no clue. I'm stumped. Um, Javier is joining us from Facebook. Thanks for joining us, Javier. Ken Cole, what is in Miyagi's secret box?
Ooh.
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. Do you think it's gonna be something funny, Drew, or do you think it's gonna be something very serious?
I thought about that for a second, like, what if it was a joke? But they're
Yeah.
playing it up pretty hard, so I don't know
Mhm.
that they'll go that way, and I think I saw again, I've been sort of light on what I've been reading. I'm trying to avoid spoilers where I can, unless it's from something, like, official, like these first 8 minutes. But I feel like I think I saw, I don't remember if it was John or whoever, but they said that it was gonna be something that was really gonna test Daniel's faith, because I think I saw something, and again, from his official channels, it said it's something that will make you realize, like, Miyagi's not a perfect person either, and I think Daniel
Mm,
looks up to him so much, like, but what could that be? I don't know. Someone's like, said, "What if he had a kid that he didn't know about," or something like that, like, who knows?
right.
It could be interesting. What if he was involved in more of the Cobra Kai stuff too? Like, I don't know, like the original style or something. Like, it could be something like that. I have no idea. I don't know, man. So your guess is as good as mine. I wonder what people in the chat put what you think is in the box. 'Cause-
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious to hear what everyone has to say. Um, John, NASA Canes fan, thank you for the super chat. $5. Why would they use the newspaper in this internet age? That's so
Yeah.
funny. Well, it's like it's almost another brings us back to the 80s again in a way, you
I
know?
think that's true. That's true. I think they showed, what was it when, I'm trying to think of who it was. Was it Dimitri when he was showing the original Who's Terry Silver? He had a tablet when he showed that, and it was
Yes.
about Terry being like a philanthropist or something.
Yes.
And you're right though, the newspaper. I guess it is an 80s throwback. I like your call on that.
And, you know, there are people I know newspapers have been going down, but a lot of people still get the paper delivered, and, Daniel strikes me as one of
Yeah,
those people.
man of habit.
That's right. Jaws. Real name of Tori would be Tori McNichols, daughter of Janos. Yes, now of Vigo's Rembrandt, Johnny's baby living in danger.
Dude, Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
I need that crossover. Yeah, you know, Vigo's looking for a new vessel. He's always looking for a new vessel.
That would be so awesome. So
That's
awesome.
hilarious.
So great.
That's
M
amazing.
my goodness, guys, so many great comments. Shin Batman says Miyagi had a dark side. Maybe. You
I
never
think
know.
that's probably what they're, at least they're getting us to think that, like, he wasn't a perfect person. Maybe he was involved with something more of that style or something, of maybe like a more brutal fighting style or something before he found peace or inner peace or something with
Mhm.
Miyagi-Do, but I don't know. It would be really interesting.
Look at Darkest Hours comment. Miyagi accidentally killed someone, and that's why he hates fighting.
That could be too. Maybe it's like a newspaper article or something about that. Oh, that could be.
Mm.
Maybe at the Sekai Taikai or something.
Oh, like he actually
Could be.
participated in it back in
Yeah,
the
I think
day.
I wanna get maybe I saw that in the chat here. I'll give whoever said that credit. Maybe I'm thinking about that. I don't know if
Oh,
somebody
maybe it
has,
was
yeah, there you
Darkest
go,
Hour.
Darkest Hour. There you go. Yeah, I wanna give you credit on that because I saw that in there. That's could be.
Yeah. Cloud Leon says the thank you for the super chat, by the way. My goodness, $5. Thanks for supporting the channel. And thank you for being a channel member. The box has all of Mr. Miyagi's Terry Silver fanboy paraphernalia.
Does he have, like, a fake ponytail that he could put in there? You can clip on ponytail. He's good.
I love that. It's sort of we saw Terry break in to
Yeah.
look at Miyagi's, but Terry didn't know that Miyagi broke into the Ennis house and stole his stuff. It's great.
He's got the silver, or the, what's it called? The silk gi, the karate gi that Terry had at
Yes.
the Ennis house that he was fighting in. That would be awesome.
Oh, that would be incredible. Well, Drew, so did we cover everything in those first 8
What
minutes?
else did I forget? So we didn't talk too much about it, but the warehouse, you speculated on that maybe
Mhm.
being taken down by Terry. I love the idea of that. Even if they don't tell you,
Yeah.
thinking about, yeah, but that's how powerful Terry is, you know, when you think
Yeah.
about it, the fact that we're speculating on that shows how much of a powerful dude he is.
I totally buy he would be behind that.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, it's those little petty things that he would do from the shadows.
I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Oh, someone mentioned earlier, I remember what it was, and I don't remember who it was, about Robbie being in school, because that was another
Mhm.
thing that
Yes.
I didn't mention that, and someone in the chat said it. Again, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm just going quickly, so I'm trying to make sure I give everybody credit here, but whoever said it, thank you for pointing that out, because it was an important point, right? And then I think you had, like, and maybe I'm mixing up the trailer too, but, like, with Tori being there too, the difference, and, you know, sort of the relationship aspects of some stuff. I'm just mixing up the trailer because I also rewatched that right before we did this, but I think the school stuff's going to be interesting. And then was it one of them got into college? And I'm mixing up, and maybe that was in the trailer versus the first 8 minutes. I'm
Oh,
trying to remember
right,
where I
right.
saw that.
I think that, yeah, first 8 minutes, I think was getting back into school.
Yeah,
And
so they're
yeah,
back into school, and I think that could be interesting. But I think the shoe's gonna drop very quickly. So, and oh, there was a shot of, was it? I think it was Anthony and Kenny staring each other down or
yes,
something. That's the other one that I missed, where
yes.
Kenny kind of looked at him from a distance, and they looked. It was weird to read what that meant. So that was kind of interesting. So I don't know what that'll be, and there's some more to see there too. So there's a lot in the first 8 minutes, I feel, that kinda quickly went by.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot there. Um, Fascinating. I Let me ask you this, Drew. Would you be happy if the tone remained somewhat happy for a good chunk of the first 5 episodes?
I think so, because I think, when you deal with, and it's not negative, it's not, like, the right word, but so much conflict all the time, it does start to get a little old after a while where it's like, "All right, who's fighting now? These guys are mad. Now these guys are friends, but now these guys are mad, and now then they become friends, and then everybody's mad," and it almost feels a little bit, like, over dramatic, and I know that's just how shows work, but it would be kinda nice to see them working together for once. So, I hope it doesn't last only for 8 minutes. It would be kinda cool, and I think, again, back to the trailer that I saw, the one trailer, but I saw, Johnny and Daniel talking about, "Hey, I think we got our team, we got the people that are there," and they showed them training. So I think it would be cool to see at least a couple episodes of them working together. I think
Mhm.
it would be a nice change of pace from what we've seen because there's been so much conflict for so long here. So I
Right.
would like it. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think I would. Like, I'm trying to remember that one episode. I think it was season 4, episode 2. I don't know, if it has time, if we have more episodes and there's time to spend with these characters and they're not at each other's throats necessarily, I think I'd enjoy that for a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Especially since they have the 3 groupings of episodes, they could plan out, like, a nice arc for what those are. Maybe the first is them training, and then the second is a bit more conflict, and then the fourth could be, like, Terry as the final boss or something, or whatever it may be. I think there's a lot that they could do with those groupings of episodes, and even within them too, you could have, 2 episode arcs, and then you get, like, sort of the next 2 and then the final to kinda close out what that 5 series is, or the 5 episode series is. But I just hope we get, there's one thing that I hope we get more flashbacks. Like, we were talking about Nick
Yeah.
earlier, Nick Marini, and also, like, the younger versions of Terry Silver and Kreese. I really like that, and I hope that we get more of it. I feel like there's a lot that you could tell through those, especially if you're gonna introduce more backstory to Sensei Kim Da-eun and all of that other stuff, her relationship with Grace and what that meant. I hope we get more of those, because I think that was actually one of my favorite parts of the more recent seasons. A lot of, like, the throwbacks, and like
Mhm.
Nick was awesome as Terry. So I think I'd like to see more of that. I think he did a good job with it.
Well, I think there's a 100% chance of that happening. I don't know if it's gonna be in these first 5 episodes,
Yeah.
basically because they publicized, or someone publicized, the, actor who's going to play Master Kim Sun Young.
Mhm.
And so he's gonna be a character in it now. And so that's gonna be fascinating. We're gonna see him for the first time. So I think that would mean flashbacks. Um,
Yeah.
so I think there's a really good chance.
I think that'll be great, and I would, as much as I would love to see, exactly how everything came about. I agree with what Chris said here. I don't want them to try to cram it together. I would like the pieces that make sense for the narrative,
Mhm.
but I would also love to see more of that as a specific series where they could explore, a younger Terry and John Kreese. I think that would be a really great show. I honestly think it would do well, because I think you could
Mhm.
you could really tell a good story there, and you could even have people jump on that maybe haven't seen the show before, where it's like, "Oh, who are these guys?" Because it's a prequel essentially, right? So you could tell that story, and they could even go back to some of the flashback scenes that were already used and work those into a series, especially if you do, and I've said this when we talked about it with Badway, you, me, and Chris before, I would love a series where you have Thomas Ian Griffith flashing back to a younger series of scenes where you could have him living through some of those memories, and maybe there's some
Mhm.
trauma that he's working through. So I think that would be really cool to see him kind of flash back to what happened, like they kind of do with the show, but just on a grander scale. And I think you get the best of both worlds. You've got Tig, who's an incredible actor. The character of Terry Silver is so good, and then you could tell kind of both parts of that story in more of like a spin-off fashion. I
Mhm.
would pay money to watch that gladly.
Yeah, me too. I think that's just a gimme, like, for an idea, and I hope Netflix agrees to do something like that. David Harris says, "Watch Party," who's been on this KenCast before, thinks Master Kim is still alive. I guess we'll see. Now that would be nuts. Like,
Yeah.
he'd have like, I
How
think
old would he
it's
be?
possible, but he'd have to be very old.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Master Kim's still alive?
I don't know well, I'm trying to do the math in my head. It's
Mhm.
late on the East Coast here. I'm
Right.
trying to think of like what what would the math be? It could be. I mean, maybe he could be in like a hospital bed or something. Who knows, right? Like maybe where there's something like that. I'm trying to think of, I didn't get a chance to watch Party's video on that, but I don't
Mhm.
know if is he speculating that he's alive and well and part of the story, or is he alive like they're going to him for advice or something? Like I don't know how
Yeah,
active he would be in it.
right.
It's like Shang Tsung from
Yeah,
Mortal
right.
Kombat.
It's possible, but, like, we saw him from the side, in season 5 in those flashbacks, and he had, like,
Yeah,
very long hair. His hair was white. Like, he was already looking older
pretty old.
then, and so now could we see him maybe not during that time, but, like, during the '80s or '90s, like, in a flashback? Maybe. Um,
Yeah, I'll take anybody, I mean, I think you were one of the first people that even talked about this. You did a video about the picture on the dojo,
yeah,
and
yes.
you should get credit for that because you were one of the first people that really talked about that, but I think that it's cool that we're even getting that. Even the idea to speculate on that when I have to, like, kind of pinch myself because I think about this as, like, a fan of Karate Kid 3. It's like, who would have ever thought we would get this? Like, I don't know. I have to take a
Yeah.
step back and be like, "Man, the fact that we're talking about Terry Silver, like, Kim
Yes.
Sung Young, like, in 2024, I mean, that's pretty awesome." I'd never thought that we'd be talking about that. It's pretty fun.
Yes, indeed. Robana has a super chat. Thank you so much, Robana, and thank you for being a channel member too. And Robana asks, "How much time do you think has passed? Chosen surely healed fast, even though he got a deep slash in the back." Well, that's a good question because we have the scene with Carmen, right? So she's showing now.
Mhm.
So I don't know, Drew. You
They're going back to school, so I don't know if it's, like,
right,
first day of school, I think it kinda is. When did they I should know this, but when did they end it? Was it in the summer? Because it was the summer, right? They weren't in school, so there's
right,
certainly time that's passed. I just
right.
don't know how much.
I think the All Valley in the end of season 4 was in May.
Mhm.
And then season 5 would have taken place after that. So during the summer, and then
Yeah.
it's back to school. So maybe a couple months.
It's possible. Does anybody know in the chat? Let us know 'cause,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't remember, and it would be interesting though, because he does look healed, Rabana, because he looked fine. Like, he
Mhm.
came out of that, he's in his robe and he's just hanging out. So,
Right.
he looked like he was doing great. So, I don't know. That's a good question.
Right. Because we do see that newspaper article about Kreese and Terry, and you would think if that's kind of a random article from a couple months later, I don't know if it would be that big a story to go in the newspaper a couple months after all that
I
happened.
didn't and I didn't
Mm.
think to check the date on that. I don't know if they showed a date. I
Ooh,
That's a good question. Maybe that's our tell if we look at it, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow
I
or
guess
the day
so.
after.
I could
But
look that
yeah,
up right now, Drew, if you want to.
yeah, I'm curious about that because I would be curious because I also wonder, if there was injuries because even Daniel, I mean, Daniel was in the fight with Silver. I mean, he was okay, but they were, kicking each other to the mat there. It was a pretty good fight. So I'd be curious about it. I see other people here too. So yeah, Chris, Hawk's hair is pretty was longer. Some folks are saying 3 to 4 months. I agree with you. Holy Bird, school starts up in mid to late August. It's interesting. I don't know.
I don't think there's any date on
I didn't put
this.
it.
No, it's just morning edition. So they didn't put any
Hmm.
dates on it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious about it. That'll be interesting to see. And then how much time passes on this too, because could there be multiple time jumps, right? Like
Mhm.
this is because isn't the first time where time would have passed, generally speaking, hasn't this been immediately one after the other? Like you could watch it and it's essentially sequential from what
I
I
think so.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make sense that there'd be a time jump. Holy Dongbird says, so if season 5 ended in late June, early July, then it puts a month-ish or more time skip.
Mhm.
Yeah. Marianella says, in the photo in the newspaper, you can see bruises on Terry's face that he didn't have before he was arrested. Did you notice?
I
Yeah, I
did.
thought that looked a little, and his hair was different. His hair looked
So,
different.
it could be, like, they revised it, or do you think that Terry's trying to get more sympathy, like, psychological warfare where he looks more beat up than he actually is? But I don't know
Yeah,
that he would do that because he wants to put his best face forward typically. So, it's an interesting one to speculate on.
right. Um, yeah, could this all be a PR campaign? I
Could
think
be.
I gotta believe Terry Silver is still in full control of all the information and everything going on.
Yeah. He's too smart not to be.
Yeah.
So
And I bet he's tracking Crease too. Wherever Crease is, I bet Terry is tracking exactly where Crease is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Um, let's see what else do we have. Eliza Lee said the Yaya Robbie scene was sweet. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Um, Shin Batman 84 says Kim Sung Young is alive and he's not dead. He's an evil version of Miyagi.
I
That
I
would be
do I do agree with that, and it would be pretty cool. I mean, I keep going back to the Mortal Kombat thing, but, like, I like the idea of, like, an evil Shang Tsung, like, kind of master that's, like, pulling the strings on some things. Could be, maybe he's pulling the strings on all of it. That would be interesting.
indeed. Marianella follows that up. I think Terry only spent a few days in jail with how powerful, intelligent, and connected he is. So I'm into heated planning his return, maybe with Innocent Snake. You got to wonder.
Yeah.
It seems like if Terry's off doing a new thing, I would call Dennis and Snake.
I mean,
That's just
what
me.
better way to bring him back? And maybe
Mhm,
he needs a little bit of help, he doesn't have Barnes because I mean, I think people saw it, but there was the shot of Barnes that was out from this trailer, I think. He was in the back somewhere. So I
mhm,
was wondering what they're gonna do with him and how he'll be involved and what his role's gonna be. And is that something that happens early on, or is that something that
mhm.
happens later? I don't know. But somehow he gets involved. Could he still be working with Terry? I doubt it, but it would be kinda cool if he had, like, a major heel turn and how he's not in jail from stealing the Rembrandt. I don't know, but he should probably be in
Right,
jail.
right, right.
I would like to see I don't know. I kinda wanna see, like, the b Karate's bad boy again. Like, I don't know. I like that he was the comedic relief, and I thought Sean did a great job with it, but I would also like to see him I wouldn't mind if he was like a evil Mike Barnes again. I think I would enjoy that.
Did you see the scene that they released with,
I
Mike
didn't.
Barnes? Okay.
No, I mean, you can tell me about it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
Well, it looks like he's gonna be the one who's helping them, with, like, preparing for the Sekai Taikai.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
but his attitude in that, is more reminiscent of Karate Kid 3 Mike Barnes.
Okay. I like
Like,
that.
he's a good guy, but he gets into it with, like, he's deciding the eliminations or whatever of who's in and who's out, and then Daniel objects, like, "Well," and then he turns around and said, "Hey, you came to me. My way or the highway, that's the deal,"
Alright, I like
and,
that.
very, very Mike Barnes from Karate Kid 3, so
I like
very
that.
cool.
I think we need Karate's bad boy back. I
We do.
I I
Yeah.
think we need that because I liked him in the last season. I feel like we didn't get enough of him,
Yeah.
and I think Sean's awesome. So I really liked I really liked what we saw. I just want more. So I'm excited that he's going to be there.
Yeah, and
I'll
Sean,
have
yeah,
to check
Sean's
that
doing
out.
an amazing job. Yeah, check out that scene or wait. It's we are just less than what is it now? Probably like 27 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really close. Let's see. NASA Canes fan John's. Thank you for the super chat, $20. Thank you. John says Mr. Miyagi was in World War II. The war ended in 1945. The Korean War started 5 years later. I think Mr. Miyagi was in both. And knew Kim Sun Young. Mr. Miyagi was an American soldier and could have known two styles.
I think
That's
that's a good speculation, dude. I like that. Yeah.
adds way more depth too.
And that could make sense as to why Daniel is shocked, right? For whatever he sees in that box. Maybe there's a very clear thing of Mr. Miyagi working with Kim Sun Young or something, right? I think that could be really cool. And maybe he had that darkness to him too, or maybe they worked together, maybe they were enemies. I mean, Miyagi certainly walked a different path and he wound up in a very positive place. But I think, like I said, I saw something that said, hey, he's not perfect and Daniel is conflicted by what he finds. And I think that would also be a good thing for Daniel to experience. Like he has such a high opinion of Mr. Miyagi, understandably so. I think it would be an interesting character arc to watch him sort of struggle with that. Like, wait, my mentor wasn't perfect. And I think that could be really cool to see. And I think that would give Ralph like some really good scenes to kind of act out and show what he can do, which would be really cool because he's done a great job with the character of Daniel and giving it more depth.
Yes. I also would love to see just a lot more Mike Barnes. And I would like to see all of this getting back to Kim Sun Young, the darkness of Miyagi. And I wanted to ask you, Drew, what are your hopes for season 6 as we're approaching?
I hope we get I mean, everyone's gonna know that I'll say this. I know it's always besides Terry Silver, so I'll try not to talk too much about Terry Silver, but I hope we
Sure.
get something with Terry. Like, I hope he's back. I hope he's not in jail, and I hope he doesn't fizzle out. Like, I would really like him to come back and sort of be that final boss or something, right? Whether he is or isn't. I mean, I'm not gonna be upset about it, but I would like to see that. I hope we get more backstory with the Kim Sun Young. I think that piece would be really interesting and to see. And I really hope that we get some more young Terry and Kreese stuff that fleshes out that story a little bit. But I also hope that it doesn't. I hope they don't give us, and I don't think they will, like sort of an overly happy ending where it's like perfect for everybody. Like I think it's okay when things don't work out for every single character. And to some people, maybe I don't want to say an unhappy ending, but maybe not a perfect ending is fitting for some of the characters, you know? I think it would be interesting to watch Daniel have to cope with Miyagi not being a perfect person and dealing with that. And what does that
Mhm.
mean for him moving forward? I hope that his relationship with Amanda stays good because I think like with what we saw last season, I think they're better together, you know,
Yeah.
and I think we had that tease of not, but I think she helps balance him a lot, and I think he couldn't ask for like a better partner. Uh, but I don't know. I hope we see a lot of really good like fighting and action scenes. Like the last season was great. I loved like the sword fight. It was like
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I kind of hope we get something like that, and I think they were teasing it with the Sekai Taikai. It's like bigger, badder, global. I would love some more Bloodsport references too. I think that would be pretty cool if we got something like that. So a lot of wishes, I guess, but I'll be happy with whatever we get. I'm just glad that we're getting them to go out the way they want to, 15 episodes in a way that allows them to end it without being canceled. You know,
Right.
it's like, especially with Netflix and the way they've been sort of trigger happy with like canceling stuff. I'm glad that we'll get them to finish the story that they want to tell. So, and more Barnes. That's what I want. A lot
More
of
Mike
things.
Barnes. Yes. Uh, I I'll just add to that. I would love to see Snake and Dennis again.
Yeah.
If that's possible. I mean, hell, Dutch would be great. I'm all for that. I know maybe the young audiences don't care, but I'd love to see more characters from the original
Me
movies.
too.
I'd love to see Ali come back. I'd love to see Kumiko come back.
Yeah.
Jessica Andrews. Love to see all of them come back. Apart from that, I'd kind of be interested to have. I always thought that we might get Hector, Miguel's father, back. I think that would be interesting. That'd be very easy to pick up on. I think he could add a lot of jeopardy for
Mhm.
Johnny and Carmen and them. Yeah, yeah, the Kim Sun Young stuff. Yeah, looking forward to that. For Terry Silver, I have to say I agree. Like I think I would love them to bring him back in the same way they gave him a lot of care and how they brought him into the series.
Mhm.
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't fizzle out. And I know I have a feeling that if Hayden's involved, and obviously he's a showrunner, and John and Josh as well, I don't think that they'd let Terry fizzle out. Like he's too
Yeah.
big of a phenomenon, I think.
I was gonna ask you, like, I know I'm obviously I have my blinders on and I'm a fanboy of the character, but I saw Rabana said, Terry's story's done. It would be nice to see him one more time. And like I am hoping, like, I mean, I have to prepare myself for the possibility that maybe his story is done and he won't be in it as much as I want, to the degree that I want. But I like you said, I think with those guys being fans of the character, I hope that he gets more time to shine. I mean, he was riding high, but I feel like, you could go either way. They could go either way with it. So,
You you know something? I understand the sentiment, Robana, but I don't know if I agree because in that very first 8 minutes that we were talking about, if you check that out, we talked about that newspaper, the front page, and you have Terry Silver and John Kreese. Their pictures are together. Whatever has gone on between them is not.
yeah,
That's a
it's not
major
resolved.
loose thread. It's not resolved. That is a big hanging story that's not resolved. So whatever, because they've set that up, that story between those
Mhm.
two with flashbacks, um, and there's no end. And the fact that they're not confronting each other again, I have to believe they'll have to interact or confront each
Yeah.
other again, resolve that somehow because the series has been building that relationship. So I think his story with John Kreese is not over yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because something that I was thinking about as I was kind of rewatching Karate Kid 3 recently. It's like I said this when we were going into Terry being introduced to this show. Like I always wondered, I kind of had this idea that Terry was the sort of the final boss and he was the one that was sort of above Kreese, even though they were war buddies and friends and
Right.
stuff. But I always felt like, he was the one. And then I think was it season 4 when you start to see that Terry is a bit more like subservient and hey, he's following, his captain or Kreese, right? I think that was interesting. And then you started almost gotten this like John Kreese isn't such a bad guy. Like he's bad, but he's not bad. I know that doesn't make
Right.
any sense at all. And then you see like, okay, maybe he is a bad dude. And now he's like really bad. Like he escaped from jail. Like that, I mean, that's a literal crime in itself. So I just wonder like where that's gonna go. And to your point, there is no resolution in their relationship or lack thereof, right? He sent his buddy to jail. It
Hmm.
could be a simple situation of like, "Hey, you know what? I respect what you did. You did what you had to do to survive. You did what you had to do." And they could squash it and maybe work together again. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
I hope that we get some resolution there. I think that would be cool, and I don't know. I wonder who would win out on that. Like, are they gonna be equals, or is it gonna be Kreese winning over on him? Like, I hope we don't see
Right.
Terry, like, get his butt whipped twice. Like, that would be sad, I think.
Yeah. I yeah, it would be you're right. Like I know that people have talked about how, Terry obviously is exhausted. He had this epic fight with Chosen. He'd been
Mhm.
drinking, like he wasn't at his tops when he was fighting with Daniel. But I mean, yeah, I think Terry is just so skilled that you're right. I hopefully he doesn't get his butt whipped if he comes back.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about him and John Kreese potentially working together again because I always think they're kind of better together.
Yeah, I
You
like
know?
them better together. I mean, I
Yeah.
liked when they were together. I didn't like and I also didn't like when Kreese was, like, overpowering him. Like, I like when they work together and
Yeah.
they are better together. It's a fun duo to watch, and
Yeah.
especially the actors together, they're great.
Right. because you're right. In season 4, there's a bit of that power struggle, and
Mhm.
Kreese was trying to lord over Terry, as the captain, and but if they came to this sort of same toxic relationship, sort of that they had in Karate Kid 3,
Mhm.
I mean, my gosh, you put those two together, I mean, they could just
Yeah.
accomplish so much,
I know they made the joke in season 4 about Terry being high on cocaine and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind seeing an unhinged Terry again. Like, I'm talking somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier, but you didn't hear him laugh the way he did in Karate Kid 3. It would be
No.
awesome if we could get that back again, like that unhinged laugh. Like, has he just gone so far off the deep end where he's just super crazy? Like, I actually would really like that.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if they would do that again because he was more like terrifying in a weird way because he was more like cunning and subdued and that's scary. But I didn't mind the hopped up on cocaine Terry. I liked that version of him.
Maybe he's still coming. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't you don't wanna do that too early. Maybe something
Yeah.
I have to believe something could happen that would make Terry laugh like that again, and I don't know what
Especially
that would
going to
be.
jail maybe, like, maybe doing that or being forced into losing everything. Like,
Mhm,
because you think about the arc that he had, he was, gone through therapy, he was taking I think it seemed as if he was taking medication, he said he was at peace with his life. I agree with you, Spooky Fangirl. He was in a good place in his life, and then Kreese brought it out of him a little bit, and he
mhm.
sort of started getting a little bit more cunning, a little bit more like the old Terry and back into the old habits. And maybe it's like he's gone back down to that rabbit hole of unhinged Terry, so I would really like that.
Indeed. Eliza Lee says there's so many more girls in the dojo, no longer
Mhm.
just Sam and Tori. Yeah, and which is great.
Yep. You got Devin, there's a bunch of other girls too, right? Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot, and it's cool, yeah, it's really good.
Jaws says if Terry Silver saves the life of Anthony and Sam LaRusso, he redeems. Yeah. Deep down, Terry's a good guy,
Yeah.
100%. Well, okay, so I think, guys, we're gonna wind down for now, but we're gonna continue tomorrow. So if you're just joining us tomorrow, I'll be going to the live LA fan premiere event. They're going to be showing the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai, and I will be live streaming like the experience.
On
So if you
location.
can't go on location, so if you can't go, just join this live stream and I will be streaming, and we'll have fun. We'll see what they got for food trucks. Maybe we'll get a taco or something, and just chat with everyone. There'll be lots of fans, and maybe we'll see some famous people. Who knows? And so it should be a lot of fun. So if you are a friend to the channel, if you've been commenting on here a lot and you want to be a moderator, let me know. We'll probably get a lot of comments that need to be moderated. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
doing that. Really appreciate it. Chris Maffei, thank you so much. Enjoy the premiere, Ken. Looking forward to the stream. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys too. Now, and thank you for the super chat, Chris. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And again, guys, check out the link to Chris Maffei's epic AI heavy metal Terry Silver
So good.
playlist. It's so good.
It's so
Um,
good.
it's so good. So thanks for throwing an awesome live stream, Ken and Drew. So much good discussion. So and thank you, Jaws, for the nice Twisters and Cobra Kai week. I know they're both coming out the same week. I'm pretty excited. Drew, before we sign off for tonight, do you have any final thoughts before this part 1 comes out?
I will say that I'm really excited, and in a weird way, like, there's just been a lot going on in my life, right? I haven't had as much time to keep up with all of the details, but it's sort of like how I used to be with some of this stuff where I tried to kind of avoid a lot of things, but it's always a temptation because I wanna know everything and you wanna go into it. You just wanna know, and, I'm just really excited, and I can't honestly, I can't I've been so busy that I can't believe, like, oh my god, it's here basically, like, tomorrow and the day after. So it's
Yeah,
really cool to see that coming. So I'm just really excited for it. I'm glad that we're not gonna have it sort of there and over. We'll get more coming soon too, which will be a lot more fun because we get to talk about it. We'll get to
yeah,
speculate on what we saw and then what we think is coming 2 more times at least, which is kind of fun. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm always excited to talk to you, Ken, and all the awesome people on this channel. So just very thankful to be here with you guys. And I'm gonna try to pop in on the chat tomorrow and hang out with you guys while you're at the event. I wish I could join in person. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
That's okay. We might have 2 more of these, Drew.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
I'd love to
So,
get out there, meet you guys. It'd be fun.
heck yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Well, thank you, Drew. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And everyone, check out Last Row Podcast, either on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. I've got a link down in the description. And it is the summer of sequels, Drew. What is the latest on Last Row?
Yeah. So I have a Vegas vacation episode coming out on this
Yes.
upcoming Thursday. So if
Yes.
you subscribe to our show, it'll hit your feed at 3:30 in the mornings when I typically have them post. But it should be in your podcatcher when you wake up in the morning. The YouTube one comes out a little bit later. But yeah, we have Vegas Vacation coming up. I just finished the edit today, so it'll be coming soon. I love that movie. It's a very I know it's not great, but I have a soft spot for it. It's a lot of fun, and
funny.
looking forward to you guys hearing that one. But let us know what you think. And then after that, I think we have Bride of Chucky, and I think Wayne's World 2, and then I think we have Crank High Voltage coming up.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
closing out with the Heat. Summer Sequels Part 2, Heat Wave.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone check out the Last Row Podcast. Drew, thank you for joining tonight. And
Thank you.
we'll see you, I guess, tomorrow, maybe on the live stream.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much. It's so great to talk to everybody and all the familiar faces and friends in the chat. Thank you everybody for checking us out and just hanging out with us. It's been a great time.
It's been great. And everyone, thank you for being like the absolute best YouTube chat community in history. It's so great to hear from every one of you. And I know we couldn't get to all your comments, but thank you for contributing to the chat. We want to hear from all of you. And if you have an idea, put it below the video, not necessarily just in the chat, but below the video as a comment. And then everyone can read that for all time, and we'll read that too. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to both our channels. And gosh, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. It's exciting times for Cobra Kai fans.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
All right, here's the outro, Drew.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time on KenCast.